Thank you everyone for attending this afternoon's webinar called Live Landing Page Critiques. I am your usability expert this afternoon, Michel Sharritt, and I come from Situate Research, which is a company located just on the outskirts of Chicago that handles usability research and testing. Today's topics, we're going to discuss navigation structure as well as website organization. We're also going to talk about the color psychology of your website, how well your colors coordinate and go and coincide with your branding and imagery online, as well as graphics, font size, color, and headings. We'll also talk about website copies. We'll go ahead and look at the content of your website, look at how wordy each page of your website is, and also look at the page length for each page of your website. We'll also look at social media integration and SEO, or search engine optimization. And we'll talk about page layout and structure. So real quickly, a little bit about my company, Situate Research. Our team has written the playbook on usability for website design. We've been doing this since well before 2008 when we established the company. We've done well over 5,000 website reviews in the last 6 years. And we've come and determined that all websites have issues or concerns when it comes to usability. There's not one website out there that doesn't. And the reason for this, there are a couple of reasons. One, many companies decide to kind of cut corners and save money and design websites on their own, either through using a free tool online or by actually learning code and trying to do it on their own. And they come to find out that this is an obstacle, that this is hard to do. And if they do use a free tool online, they find out that there are many issues that come with that. And one of the issues is that usability just isn't involved at all. And we want to make sure that usability is involved. We want to make sure that our websites are user-friendly. Otherwise, what's the point of having a website online? So a great way that we here at Situated Research and our sister company QCamp go ahead and make sure that this happens is that we offer a free marketing analysis to anyone that has a website. So you get a free video analysis of your website by an actual usability expert. So it's sort of like what we do today during the webinar, where a usability expert like myself go ahead and they look through your website and they provide you with a 15 to 20 minute video, kind of pointing out the different areas of usability that are lacking within your website and some areas where you need improvement. So this analysis includes a lot of things, but the overall analysis goes over the user friendliness of your website. And the analysis is research driven. So it goes through your branding and your marketing online presence. Our sister company QCamp deals specifically with our website design, as well as our social media integration and online presence and marketing. Whereas Situated Research, our parent company, deals mostly with usability research and testing. So combined forces allows us to combine our teams and our expertise of usability and web design and social media and marketing into your website. So for this report, we do an evaluation of your site's navigation structure and ease of use for your users. We also call out action items to improve your website's effectiveness, and we give you good solutions for fixing these issues that we find. When we do these free analysis and when we do today's webinar, we go through two things. We go through user experience and these different items that are listed here that coincide with user experience, as well as heuristics. And we'll go into that in just a moment. So we look at the clear essence of your business. When we come to the homepage of your website, it should be clear what your website's about, what your company's about. Your color psychology, the different colors that you choose within your website should coincide with the branding and imagery of your company. And most of all, coincide and go great and work with your logo of your company. So that goes into aesthetics of site design. So we actually look at the aesthetics of the site, make sure that we're staying consistent within each page of the site. And all of these things that I'm talking about right now, just kind of rambling through right now and kind of getting through quickly, we will go ahead and actually show you once we do the live reviews this afternoon. We also want to make sure that your website's enjoyable and fun to use, that it entertains your users and doesn't bore them. Because if you have users who are bored, they're going to leave your website. We also look at the wordiness of your website. So we look at your content. And we also make sure that you give powerful messages, that your content has good calls to action for your users. We also want to make sure that your website encourages communication, because you want to encourage trust and you want people to build trust. And on an online platform, it's kind of hard to do that, but there are some ways to do that. And we can talk about that later on today. We also want to make sure that there's consistency from page to page so that your site design isn't changing from page to page and that you're not taken from your website to an external website. You want to have all your users remain on your website. That's a big point. And also we want ease in locating typical information that users are familiar with seeing, such as an About Us page, a Contact Us page, etc. Then we go into the heuristics of your websites. We look at to make sure that your design of your website's functional. So we look at the wireframe or the architectural blueprint of your website to see where items are placed on pages to make sure that it makes sense for users. We also look at your navigation system, and we'll go into that in more detail when we actually do the live webinar this afternoon. Going into your navigation, we're looking at clear, distinct labeling. So making sure that the labels for each of your menu items is not too long, it's short, distinct, simple, and to the point. We also want to make sure that your website follows web standards, which means readable font sizes and good color for your fonts. We also want to make sure that your website doesn't have any grammatical errors and that you also have good contact information at the footer of every page of your website. We also want to make sure that if your website has a lot of information involved on it, that you give help and documentation to your users. So all of these things have to coincide and work together. Why is this important? All of these things are important because these improvements can help you retain customers, build trust online, and boost your sales. So we've done live reviews since I think we started in October or November of last year. And starting in 2016, in January, we actually started offering this live free critique webinar twice a month. So twice in January, twice in February, now twice in March. So this is our first webinar here in March. And we've done live reviews for many different companies, ranging from local Chicago-owned companies to nationwide companies. And we really have just given highlights on these companies' websites during the live critique. And then they've actually come to us to give a more in-depth report so that we can go ahead and help them with the assistance of their usability with their websites. So that's something that we've worked on as well. So I want to go ahead now and end the PowerPoint and actually go to our main screen. So we'll go ahead and do this. And then we'll go ahead and go here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start doing our live review this afternoon. Okay. So the first website that we are going to go ahead and review is Avenue H, and this is a health insurance marketplace for Utah. And we came across this website through an RFP request that we received this week. for Washington State's request to actually build a website for them for a healthcare marketplace. So we're really excited to put in our proposal for that. But in the meantime, we, Avenue H, we went ahead and contacted, and they gave us their permission for us to review their website live. So folks at Avenue H are watching, as well as the state of Washington for their RFP requests. So we're going to go ahead and look at their website during our live session today. So the first thing that we do is we look at the homepage of the website. So going along with user experience, we want to make sure that there's a clear essence of business. So does your website clearly indicate the nature of your business and its products? Does this criteria look at what your site communicates through text, images, your logo, and your tagline? And do they correlate to create a strong impression with good corporate branding? So Avenue H, if you look at the company logo, you can see that it says Health Insurance Marketplace. So it's kind of straightforward what the website's going to be about. It says Utah Small Business Health Insurance Marketplace. So that explains again what the website's about. Then we have our main menu navigation. And then we have a slideshow that can consistently goes through and kind of gives some quotes from some companies. So it's clear exactly what this website's going to be about. The next thing that we look at is color psychology. So simply put, each color has psychology and emotions that are associated with it. So based upon what your website's communicating and selling, do the colors and the emotions associated with these colors correlate well to your business image? So if we look at the company logo here, there isn't really much of a logo if you think about it. Avenue H, the H is in a little circle, so I guess that's their logo. So we really just have white text. So sometimes with companies, what we would suggest is working on their company logo, working on their branding and imagery. However, if it's a company that's been established for a long time, you don't necessarily want to change your logo because that's corporate branding that you're kind of throwing out the window. So not sure how long this logo and this website have been in business for. I see 2015. So that needs to also, just as a side note, needs to be updated to 2016. But maybe that's when they built the website. And maybe that's when they established Avenue H and established the logo. So I would say it's within that time frame where you could change the logo and do something about it. So as far as color psychology goes with the site, there's really nothing to go by. It's pretty much you guys just kind of picked whatever colors you wanted. So that's something, with branding and imagery that you kind of, especially with branding and marketing, that you really want to work on. Okay, the next thing that we look at, which coincides with branding and marketing and looking at the logo, is the aesthetics of the site. So aesthetics refer to the creativity, design, and flow of your website. Not all websites need fancy graphics. There should be a pleasing look and feel, though, however, which corresponds to the nature of your company's offerings. So in other words, your website should look nice. And just looking at the homepage, this does look really nice. The slideshow is a little distracting, and we're kind of getting away from slideshows now, so something to think about. Because it does take the user's eyes away from the other information on the site. I'm going to go ahead and click on an internal page. Okay, so that's kind of straightforward. Maybe about us. Okay, straightforward again. So, just some things to think about. It looks like going back to color psychology, your colors are white and purple. So that very well could be, or it may not. But looking at the aesthetics of the site, it looks good. There's consistency. So it works great. The next thing that we look at is to make sure that the website's enjoyable and fun to use. So I would think that this type of website would have a lot of information. So if we look at the site, let's just go ahead and click on some more pages. We do have a lot of content. I do like, however, how these buttons are here so that like not all the content is listed on the page so that you're having to scroll and scroll through information. If you want to see something like invoicing and payment, you get that information right away. If you want to see ongoing administration, invoicing and payment went away and now this popped up. So this is really good. And this opens up to a PDF. Okay. So all in all, looks good. I wouldn't say it's exactly fun to use because it's a website with a lot of information. However, it is easy to use. It's enjoyable. So that's good. So that leads us into content. So we want to make sure that your website's not wordy. We want to make sure that there's not too much to read so that pages don't run vertically with content where you have paragraph after paragraph, because this should typically be avoided unless your site just caters to users with a specific purpose where that is appropriate, such as a site for a free online book might present the chapters of the book. And so then you would expect to see page after page, scrolling of information. So if we go and click on an internal page here, a nice thing that you guys did is that you gave a little bit of information and then you have these submenus that you can just click on and that are also collapsible with content. So you're not having pages that run with content where you're having to scroll and scroll, because research shows that users aren't going to scroll through the information. So this was done very nicely. I actually like the way that this was done. So yeah, good job. The next thing that we will look at is the verbiage of the website. So does it give you a clear call to action? So obviously get a quote, you get a quote. Find a broker, you're going to find a broker. As a side note here, it says here is a comprehensive list of Avenue H credential brokers. Use agent search to see if your brokers. Okay, I would expect to see a list here. So don't say that there's a list if there isn't a list here. I have to click on agent search and then be taken to an external website to actually then do a search, and there's still not a list. So you want to work on the usability of this page. If I go to employees, Avenue H puts employees in control of their own health plan decisions by choosing the coverage that best suits your own needs, preferences, and budget. So I'd work on grammar here because you're using past tense, then present tense. So I work on grammar, and I would also work on using powerful verbiage to kind of give some calls to action. As far as the website goes for encouraging communication, at the footer of every page, we do have the phone number as well as the email address, so that's good. However, I do not see any social media outlets here at all. There are none listed on the site. And working with our sister company, QCamp, and marketing and social media integration, that's very important to have. I understand that this is a health insurance marketplace and that you are catering to certain people, but you need to target those people on social media outlets as well. That would be very powerful too. So something to think about. So I'm going to go ahead and end the critique for the site. Thank you for allowing us to critique it, and I hope that we can help you in the future. The next site that we're going to look at is Naperville Acupuncture Center. Now, this is a local business that Dr. Sharritt and I actually go to and use for acupuncture services. And we've recently been asked to help make some updates to the site. So we decided to go ahead and include it today for our live review. So we went ahead and kind of updated the look and feel to the website. As well as some of the different aspects of the site too. So the first thing that we looked at was the social media integration at the top of the page. So things were lining up. There were some coding issues that we dealt with. But then we went ahead and we made sure that their social media integration was on the site. And then it was upfront and prominent because it's very important to get new clients. So we went ahead and made these bigger fonts, same font color as the other fonts of the site. So to kind of help with that. But however, so we made some critiques to the site, but there are still some usability issues that we want to address today. So some things to kind of think about when looking at this site is very clear what the site's going to be about. It's the Naperville Acupuncture Center. It's going to be about acupuncture services. But when we look at the main menu navigation, we want to make sure that when we're looking at the main menu navigation, that we have between 4 to 6 main menu options. Most websites have a main menu. So you want to look at how many items are in yours. According to website standards and usability standards, you only want to have between 4 to 6 menu options for your website. So here we have 6. And actually, we could get rid of the home button because we really don't need that. Users know that they can click on the logo and be taken back to the home page now. But looking at the main menu navigation, having between 4 to 6, which we have here, that's great. And when you look at the main menu, this level, you want to think of dirt and your grass in your backyard. And then the submenus are how deep you dig. So seeing how many submenus you have is how deep you have to dig to plant something. And the deeper you dig and the more submenus you have, information is going to get lost. And it's important information that you don't want to get lost. So what we have here at Situate Research are information architects. And information architects actually look at the menu structure of each web page. And they make sure that information doesn't get lost. They make sure that you don't have too many submenus where that could happen. So for this site, we would definitely say, take a look at the main menu navigation. Take a look at the submenus. Just for instance, About Us. About Us is not clickable. However, About Our Clinics clickable and Meet Our Staff's clickable. And these 2 items could be on one page. So you could get rid of the submenu and just have About Us. No submenu. All About Acupuncture, same thing. Read our reviews, same thing. Contact us, have a question, our location should all be on one page called Contact Us. Very simple, straightforward, to the point, which is what you want to do when it comes to usability of your website. Because the simpler you make your website, the easier you make information readily available to your users. They're going to use your site, they're going to order your products, they're going to use your services, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So something to think about as well. So menu navigation is very important here. As far as the layout of the site goes, it was done very nicely. We have a slideshow here of some imagery. It goes in and tells us a little bit about the Naperville Acupuncture Center, which goes into that powerful messaging. We can book an appointment if we would like. This section is very straightforward. How does acupuncture work? That's something that's important to someone who would come to the site. Common questions, latest blog entries. We have this section as well, how to locate them, current hours, how to contact us, schedule an appointment. So this is all great. One thing though is when we click on schedule an appointment, we're taken to an external website. And one of the big things when it comes to usability in websites is that we want to keep our users on our website. So we want to make sure that they are never taken off of the website. So something like this, where you have to send them to an external website to schedule an appointment, there are different ways that we can go ahead and incorporate it into your current site so that they never leave. They're still using this external site, but they never leave your website. And we can do that through pop-up windows, through links, through different page setups, etc. And that's important because sometimes a user will get sent to an external site, schedule an appointment, want to go back to the original site. Maybe the window closed and they don't remember what the URL was to the website, and so they can't get back, or they have to do a Google search. It's just more frustration for the user. The other thing too is you never want to send anyone away from your website because then it takes them off of the site, takes them off of the information that you're trying to present to them, gets them into a new train of thought, and they may never go back to your original website. So it's just some things to think about here. But all in all, great job just thinking about menu navigation and structure of the site as far as an information architect would go. So I want to thank you guys for allowing us to review your website. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next website, which is Snap Kitchen. So Snap Kitchen is a new concept here in Chicago where they are giving you fresh, healthy takeaway foods. So we can go ahead and we can look at the company logo, look at the homepage here, and make sure that colors coincide with one another and actually go with imagery and branding, which they do. This website was done very, very well. So that's great. I mean, the imagery is great. I love the footer, how the social media outlets are right there up in the center in color of their particular colors for the social media outlets. So that looks great. And I just love the image. I just love the way this website's laid out. Very clear and to the point. If I go ahead and click on different subpages, we can select our city, and we can see different menu items, how much they cost, so what's available, etc. So, and great imagery again. If I click on an image, I can actually go and see exactly what the pricing is, etc. So, although you can't order on here, you can still see the menu items, see the ingredients. This is great. Nutrition, everything that I would want to see about this menu item. If I go to locations, I can go ahead and see the different locations as well as the map for Chicago. And more, I see blog, commit. Let's see what commit's about. Okay, so this is interesting. So we just talked about how you don't take users off of your website. So you saw here, we clicked more, we hit commit. Now we're taken to an external site. So that's not a big no-no. This is a new site altogether. And I'm guessing this is, yeah, that was the corporate site. Allergen guide, again, takes you somewhere else. Subscribe. Okay, contact us. Careers. Okay, so, wow, there are a lot of careers. So making sure that you keep your users on your website is very, very important. Instead of the more button, I would put a blog button. I would make my main menu larger. Maybe contact us button, and under that put subscribe and careers because more doesn't really tell me anything. And it's listing all these sub-menu pages. So something to think about as well. So we want to go ahead and take a look at the menu structure. As far as the website goes, can log into. Okay, so we would have to set up an account to kind of look at the system as well. So we're not going to do that for this webinar. But again, looking at the homepage, it tells us exactly what the company is about. It goes ahead and gives us some really good information about the company, saying what their promise is, what their food is, what everything's about. So that's really good too. So all in all, really good. Just looking at that main menu structure, I would take a look at that. So great job. Thank you, Snap Kitchen, for allowing us to review your site today. The next site that we're going to look at is the Naperville Chamber of Commerce. And we've actually reviewed this website before in the past. They asked us to review it again live today because they've done some updates to it. So we'll go ahead and look at that. And so, normally we look at the homepage, we look at the logo, color psychology, content, etc. Now what we're going to do, because we've done that in the past, is we're going to go ahead and look at the heuristics of the site and actually see the way the pages are laid out and where items are placed. Does it make sense to users? And the navigation, does that make sense? Because I know that was updated and things like that, and as well as consistency and help and documentation. So let's go ahead. We're on the home page. We look at the main menu navigation. And so I can see still that we're having a main menu navigation issue. Labeling is not clear and concise. So about the chamber sounds good, but maybe you should just say about us or about. Very clear and simple and to the point. Who we are has a sub menu, so something to kind of think about there as well. We have, where was the big sub menu? Yeah, here we go. So programs and events under business and professional development events. We have a lot of choices here. Whoops. We have a lot of choices here. Teams, we have a lot of choices. So still, menu navigation is a concern here. Again, an information architect will look at the content of each page, see what pages we could put together and get rid of. One big thing when it comes to main menu navigation and submenus is your content. And sometimes what companies end up doing is they repeat themselves. And companies do this for a variety of reasons. One, they don't know that they're doing it. Or two, they're trying to make their website look bigger than it is, make their company look bigger than it is. So they think by repeating themselves, but just writing it in a different way, will take up real estate and make their company look larger than it is. I'm not saying that the Naperville Chamber of Commerce is trying to do this. I'm just saying typically this is what occurs. Or a company just doesn't know that they're repeating themselves with content. So an information architect will actually come in and look at the content of each page and actually help the company kind of figure out, okay, you're really saying the same thing here. You don't need this page, or this page should actually have this type of content on it. This is what this page is all about. So with the Naperville Chamber of Commerce, again, submenus is a big issue. So we need to take a look at that. Looking at the layout of the homepage, again, we're still having the scrolling issue here with members, which I understand you guys want to showcase your members, but this is distracting to users. So maybe just showcasing a few members and just making this in black and white will stop distracting users from the rest of the content on the page. This section is still pretty crowded. So events, featured events, and then this little slideshow box for advertisements. Again, distracting to users. Right here, business directory, join the chamber, member login, register for events. This should be in your main menu navigation, shouldn't be on the homepage like this. One, the buttons are not all the same size. Two, this is information. Yes, that's important. Obviously, you want people to join the chamber, but that should be a message that you put up here. So just some things to think about. The free advertisement here that you offer, I don't know if it's free or if it's paid through people who join the chamber, I understand, is also distracting to users. So something to think about as well. As far as help and documentation goes, this website does not still have a sitemap. And a sitemap is important for a couple of reasons. One, it helps users if they get lost on the site. So they can simply click the sitemap and it gives them a hierarchy of the labeling of each page of the site. So they can go by subject matter as long as your labeling is correct. It also, a sitemap will help with your search engine optimization. So a sitemap is always put on a website, and it helps users, as well as it gets submitted. Your web developer should submit it to search engines such as Google, so that your website, each page of your website gets crawled. And that basically means that Google will take a look at each page of your website once it's submitted and look at the traffic of each page. And the more traffic you have to each page of your site, the more important your site becomes, the higher up your search engine ranking goes, and then you end up on page 1. So companies that guarantee you on page 1 are full of crap, just to be completely honest with you. You need to do this organically. And a great way to do that is through having a sitemap on your website. So you need to have that not only for that purpose, but also, again, for help and documentation for your users. Having a search box at the bottom of every footer of the page of the site is great because there's a lot of content on this site. So that does help users as well. As far as social media integration, you guys do a great job, as always, putting those items here in the footer of each page. So, and also helping with communication, giving your contact information at the footer of every page is great as well. Because once users scroll down, if they do, through the content of each page, they want to be able to contact you. So that's great that you guys have offered that. So I want to thank the Naperville Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to review their website yet again. And we wish you the best of luck. Again, if you guys need any assistance, you know how to contact us. So the last website that we're going to look at today is the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce site. And again, we're going to go ahead and look at the homepage and make sure that the company logo and color psychology coincide with one another. And so the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce, we have a little sun here with some buildings and some grass. So that's their logo. And so this blue sky background goes with the logo. This internal box, however, I would get rid of completely. It's very distracting for users, doesn't really make much sense. This is information that could be placed somewhere else on the website. As far as the rest of the page is laid out, there's a lot of information. The calendar of events scrolling like this is very distracting to users, so I would stop that. The spacing between view chamber calendar and view community calendar needs to have more space. New members over here scrolling as well is very distracting. News, our Twitter feed is important to have, but shouldn't be in the center of the web page. I'd put that more in the footer. And looking at the main menu navigation, we have 6 main menu buttons, which is great. Looks like it's good, concise labeling. As far as submenus go, we have a lot of submenus. See how deep this is? So instead of having Contact Us under About Us, it should be its own menu button. 2015 report, maybe that's important for you to showcase to users, but it should be under About Us, or resources if you're going to keep resources. This is also interesting too, submenus where you have an arrow here. The submenu should show up over here, not to the left like it is. So that just has to do with coding. So yeah, that's like that on everyone. And your submenus, you don't want to have them as long as these are. This is pretty long. So something to think about as well. If we do click on an internal page, taken to the annual report, so the annual report will open up. I'm going to go ahead and get off of this. Click on a different page. Okay. So we see how an internal page is laid out. This free advertising, you need to get rid of completely. It's just distracting to users. We click on another internal page. We want the same layout. So we do. which is great. Font size is something that I would take a look at. I don't think it's up to web standards. I think it should be a little larger. Spacing between items needs to be looked at as well, because this is obviously on top of each other. Needs to be looked at. Social media integration is great. Having a search box for help and documentation is awesome. Let's see if we have a sitemap down here, which we do. So now you can see what a sitemap looks like. And again, a hierarchy of each page of the site. So a sitemap actually gives you a clear indication of how long your menu navigation is, because this lists out your main menu navigation and the subpages to those main pages. So look how I'm scrolling. That's a clear indication that you have way too many pages and way too many options for your users. So you need to take a look at that. So those are some concerns. If I look at the footer of the website, it looks good. However, sitemap should be on the same line, shouldn't be on a second line. We have our social media integration at the footer, a map, as well as our contact info on every page. So that's great. Annual report and all this information is great to have on each page. If you do have the annual report here, then there really isn't a reason to have it up here. I would, again, put a contact us page. Other than that, the website looks great. Just those concerns with the main menu navigation, the homepage setup, free advertising, and then this middle section as well. Just when things are popping out at users, it's very distracting, and it takes them away from the content of the site and the main purpose of why you have them on your site. So just something to think about as well. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and switch gears back to our PowerPoint presentation. So again, here we go. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So again, we want to go ahead and leave you with our information. If you'd like that free video analysis, go ahead and contact us at info@situatedresearch.com or visit our website at situatedresearch.com. You can also contact us at 522-0855. That's area code 630. And there are also some free tools as well that you can review your website on. You can use validator.w3.org. And what that does is it checks the coding errors for each page of your website. So you put in the URL to each page of your site and it will list out the coding errors for each page. This is important because you don't want to have coding errors on your website. You want your website to be perfect. And coding errors can lead to functionality issues as well as display issues. So I could have someone using Safari as opposed to Google Chrome, and my website could act or look differently. And that's important because you could lose customers, especially if you have an e-commerce website. Another site to take a look at, which is a free tool, is our website called marketing.grader.com. And basically what that does is it goes ahead and it looks at the marketing of your website, so your online presence. Looks at the messages that you put on your site, looks at the verbiage content. It also looks at the marketing aspects such as your social media integration, search engine optimization, etc. So that's a free tool as well that you can use. So I want to thank everyone for attending our free webinar today, Live Landing Page Critiques by Situated Research. And we do have another date later on in March for this webinar as well. So if your website didn't get reviewed and you want it reviewed live, you can go ahead and visit our website at situatedresearch.com to see that future date and sign up and grab your seat. And again, if we didn't get to your website, you will receive a free video analysis emailed to you later on this week with that analysis so that you can go ahead and check that out. So I want to thank everyone for attending today and have a great afternoon.